With 2 decades of expert insight, Mattias Fridstro strives to educate and challenge the status quo when it comes to network technology and the essential role carriers and their partners play in our connected world. Located in Stockholm, Sweden, Mattias first joined Telia AB in December of 1996. In 1998, he assumed the role within Telia International Carrier as head of the construction and implementation of the international network within Europe and USA for the carrier business. Between 2003 and 2010, Mattias headed up the product management side of Telia Sonera International Carrier for voice IP capacity and infrastructure-related services. Between January 2011 and June 2016, Mattias was the CTO of Telia Sonera International Carrier. Since July 2016, he is now the Chief Evangelist for Telia Carrier. Mattias holds an MSc in Electrical Engineering from the University of Wollongong, Australia.
Okay, so thank you very much for here, and of course a big thanks to ISE who's having me here, coming from the other side of the water. It's a big thing for us being able to be presenting here. I'll sort of start just by, these guys, you know them very well. They're American companies, super big. Just to give you the flavor of who we are. When I see the 5G fiber maps, I can see that kind of relates me back to the 1998-2002 era when everyone was digging like crazy. We were one of the crazy companies digging like crazy at that time, and sort of everything we live on today is all the fibers we digged in those days. Now I can see that happening again. We need to dig up the streets everywhere, and that's going to be a big thing again. Hopefully we'll do it much smarter this time. I'm sure we will. Last time we were just digging absolutely everywhere. Every meeting was about drawing lines on a piece of map, and you do it. But I represent a company that's sort of a big operator carrier. About 60% or 59% of the global internet is behind our network if you look at the internet routes. So that's kind of where we come from. We're a big global internet provider. Owns our own fiber backbone in US and in Europe, and so on. So that's sort of kind of the background, really. And what I'm going to talk about is what type of new demands do we see on ourselves going forward, What is it that we need to change in our company, and what does the industry need to change? Because there's a lot of things happening in there. And you see the logos on this slide, and you kind of almost understand immediately that all of them are really changing the way we have to build our network, the way enterprises have to build their network, and the way we all need to think about when we build networks. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And basically, I would say the major and the biggest change is, of course, the cloud. That, earlier you had your servers in your basement at your headquarters, and that was fine. And all the circuits that you were building were going from somewhere in the world back to the headquarters where you used all the servers there. Now, if you look at a normal enterprise and the way they will build their network and they will run their network, is that 80% of that traffic is not going to go back that same route. It's going to go towards some cloud applications. Or it's going to go to some other applications that's somewhere else, not on your own premises. And that is, of course, a huge challenge to how we all need to build our networks. We can't just rely on the old way of connecting everything back to the headquarters. We need to find new ways of doing this, of course. And then on top of this, we can see that using the public internet for this type of traffic may not be a bad idea. It can actually be quite a good idea. Obviously, there are, and I will come into this later on, but if you look what Gartner says that about 70% of the traffic from smaller offices will go via public internet. So I'm going to think about, what is it, what type of challenge that come to if you're going to use the public internet for all these type of services. And obviously, if you look at the public internet, there is a lot of advantages, but there's also some challenges. And of course, I would say the biggest advantage is, of course, that the coverage is really everywhere. Public internet, if you connect to it, you can, and the whole point with internet is that you can reach everything everywhere all over the world. So of course, that's a huge advantage. And anyone having a cloud service can actually put that service on the public internet, and practically everyone in the world can reach it. So of course, from that point of view, it's a great thing. The second thing is, of course, the price. The price you pay by connecting to the public internet is quite low. You can have a broadband connection at home, and you don't pay that much for it. And you get access to all these fantastic things in that network. So basically everything with the public internet supports this cloud thinking, I can just put something in there and people can share what I'm putting there. But of course, there's a backside to this, of course. Public internet is best effort. It is always going to be best effort. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's hard to complain if it doesn't work because it is best effort. So that's one thing. The second thing we see is also that the way traffic is flowing on the public internet is not always the most perfect way for the traffic itself. It could be based on other things. It could be much more based on economical terms. I got a better price by sending my traffic that direction instead of that direction, although I know that it should really go that direction. So of course there is this economical thing around this, that's kind of, routing is much more based on economics than the way traffic should really flow. And then of course the big thing that we don't really know anything about, but there is a lot of politics in there. There is a lot of discussions around, what happens if this country is shutting themselves out of internet? What happens here and there? So there's a lot of things on the shady side of the internet as well that you need to be afraid of and you need to be careful of. But basically, if you look at the public internet, today it's about 70,000 networks connected together. All of them connected in some way or the other. Some are connected to more networks, others are connected only to a few networks. And of course, if you are thinking about putting your cloud services out on this public internet, you really need to think about who you're going to use. The risk is that you find yourself and feel, okay, I'm going to use this cloud provider, but I'm also going to use this local ISP here because I believe they have a very good price for my connection in there. That ISP may then be connected to some other, and you suddenly see your traffic traveling around half of the globe. And that wasn't really the intention you wanted to find. So here the message is, be super careful who you connect to when you connect to your either local ISPs or larger ISPs and so on. There are many traps you can fall into if you select the wrong providers here. The second thing is, of course, there's a lot of companies out there offering cloud services, cloud connect services and so on. Quite few of them actually own the network, their own network, and own the backbone of their own network. So what they do is they resell someone other's services. And that's also something you need to be careful, because using the cloud is all about scaling up and down. And if you can't scale up, if the one you're buying services from constantly need to buy services in return to serve you, then you don't get the flexibility that you want. And that's also something you need to be careful of. So you might select the right ISP, but the ISP itself or the cloud provider behind has not selected the perfect thing. So basically, what I'm trying to say is there is a way to get this best effort in a really good way. You select an ISP, you understand the ISP is connected to this backbone, that backbone is actually connected to the cloud itself, perfect. Using that type of connection, public internet will be very good for you. It will be a low price, very good solution for you. Same thing, of course, the three companies of us up here and a few other companies are, of course, directly connected to many cloud services. So if you really feel, I want to have the absolute best connection to the big cloud services, you can go direct to the backbone provider, the cloud provider. Of course, the cloud providers themselves have these direct access solutions. If you're in the vicinity of their data center, that might be the best solution to connect directly via them. But if you're far away, then there are some really good backbone providers that you can select, and you get your services directly connected. Of course, this is going to cost you slightly more, but on the other hand, the quality is going to be so much better, and therefore. So my message and the conclusion I have on this is that, with the right selection of ISP and the right selection of backbone provider, public internet is not a very bad place to put your traffic in if you're looking for cloud services and connecting to the cloud. There are direct connect solutions, of course, and they're also really good. But it's, public internet may not be that bad. Then, of course, that just solves one piece of connectivity. There are many other pieces that we need to solve as well. And of course, when in the new world, when enterprises and others put a lot of new demands on us, there's a lot of things we as an operator need to do here. And of course, the big one is, of course, simplify everything. I think we've seen a lot of things from the guys before that we need to simplify. I think yesterday we heard from Windstream that, simplifying everything with SD-WAN and SD-WAN that just works is the dream scenario for everyone. So of course, that's something we all need to work very hard on to achieve. getting this to be very, very safe. The second thing is, of course, we need to be super scalable. I've seen traffic patterns that goes from one day to the other, scaling up 100%. And of course, we need to be ready. We can't just say, oh, sorry, we need to buy this from someone else. We need to be there. We need to have that type of scalability in our network. And that's a big challenge, being super scalable. But that's the demand people have now. If suddenly, I want to put a lot of traffic into the cloud, we need to be there for them. I think the flexibility we talk about here to future-proof the business, in the old world, we dreamed about 3 to 5 year contracts all the time to secure our future. I don't think we can demand that anymore. I think the customers want to select the one they want to work with, and if that's not good after a week, we need to let them go, and we need to sort of get them somewhere else. We need to convince them that we're so good to work with them. That's the new demand on enterprise and operators in the future, If everything is going to be very scalable and you can switch and choose, then of course the operators themselves need to be extremely flexible and even in the contract side, we can't demand 3 years contracts anymore. And of course, the dream scenario is of course that they never, enterprise never really see the operator they work with. We make all the services transparent and they can upscale, downscale, do whatever they want with their services. That is of course a huge challenge for our industry to make all that stuff. We are used to taking an order and then progress everything and then 6 weeks later come back with, here you are. I think we need to go away from that. We need to be extremely transparent going forward to show customers, really. And then of course, one more thing that we need to be extremely good at is of course, we need all of us to realize that we can't do everything for everyone. There needs to be an ecosystem in there to support these type of clients, I would be stupid if I said that security service and that type of stuff is something we can do better than the security companies themselves. No, we can't. So we need to work with these security companies on the internet, making sure that their functionality is synchronized with our functionality. There's a lot of IoT providers out there. We need to make sure that all the IoT providers are part of our ecosystem so that someone wants to use their solutions in our network or someone else's network, that would work as well. So there's a lot of things that needs to change right now. We need, on one side, to change the whole complete engine to make customers do whatever they want in the network based on our network services. And on the other side, we need to work with the right partners. We need to work with the partners like here. We can't build networks everywhere. We need to start to share. We have network over here, they have network over there. Perfect. The combination of that is going to be great. And the market is big enough for all of us, so hopefully that's going to be really good. So basically, a short summary of this is that the cloud thing itself is going to change absolutely everything. The complete way we run our network, the complete way we have our IT set up around our network as well, it is really, really changing, and that's something we all need to live with. I like the quote yesterday that, it's never been as fast as it is today, but it's never as slow as it's today as well, and that's something we absolutely have to adopt to. So basically the message to everyone is, be prepared to re-architect, rethink the way you think about this. And then of course in the end, we are sitting and thinking about, what are we good at? What do we bring to the market? And what is someone else much better at? And who do we work with? Who should we really work with? There are other companies that's better at doing this. Yeah, let's work with them. Some things we're really good at, let's do that. But let's not try to do everything for everyone. So with that, I conclude my talk.
Thank you all very much. Very insightful stuff, and I love the variety of topics you covered. Thank you. We do have a few moments for questions, and unfortunately not as much time as I would like. That said, I'm going to take a couple. You ready? Okay.